Oh, I'm excited. I know it's been locked down for many and it's been a flippin' shit show. But hopefully your Friday's going to get a little bit better. Okay, everybody, welcome to Robett Live. We've got music playing. I'm not going to get sued for this one, so I'm very happy with that. We kind of have sponsors, self-sponsored sponsors, brought to you by brightfire.co.nz, helping a bunch of New Zealand businesses, and switch.stream. Check it out. Today on the show, we've got a couple of weapons. We've got David Downs coming on, about to jump on in a second. Cassie, Roma, Holly, Bennett, Ryan Ashton. And we've also got a 1 minute pitch, and we've got pretty cool 1 minute pitch, which is going to be coming in the mix. So we may as well get into it. I'm actually really excited for our first guest. Landry, I'm going to bring you in with claps, my friend. Bring it in with claps. Ladies and gentlemen. Have you got, is it clapping?
I'm not hearing the claps.
There's the claps.
No, I was so much clap. Thank you very much. Fantastic.
David Downs, how are you, my friend?
Kapai. Very good. Thanks very much.
Let's get straight into it. You had an idea. The idea has gone very well.
Yeah.
Very well, to the fact that someone just closed an extra 5 milli. Let's talk about it. So for those who are unaware, after lockdown happened, we've had you on the show before talking about this specifically, and it's amazing to see the progression that is clearly a side passion project gone amazingly awesome. Give us the context for those unaware.
Yeah, so essentially just as the first lockdown happened, not this latest lockdown, this is just like a pathetic little lockdown, the big lockdown, I set up this business to try and help cafes and restaurants, particularly in my area, to sell vouchers because I was worried that they were going to lose their cash flow during the lockdown. So basically, we set up this little website, and I just said to the sort of 4 or 5 cafes in my area, if you want to sell a kind of lunch voucher or a coffee voucher online, this website will help you do it. Well, fast forward through the whole lockdown process, we just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we got, in the end, 2,500 best businesses on there, not just cafes and restaurants. In the end, it was hairdressers and tattoo parlors and all sorts of businesses, and 2,500 of them, and we blasted through $1 million of revenue during lockdown, and since then we've done another $1 million of revenue. So it's just been incredible. And all that money goes to charitable. Like you said, it's a side project for me. It was a charitable project, so basically all that money goes to the vendors, to the cafes and restaurants and stuff. And we at one point we had like 15 volunteers helping out because it was such a big job to kind of keep the beast running. This big multi site e-commerce thing that was just going gangbusters. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, what did it feel like watching the real-time dashboard of value getting shared to businesses who were stuffed? Like, how awesome was it? Did it become like a thing for you?
It was
mentally?
awesome. Yeah. The coolest thing is when we pay everybody, because we try and pay them as quickly as we can. As soon as we get the money from the credit card companies, as soon as it clears, we try and pay people. And one day we paid out like $120,000 in cash, and I just went out the door. And every day we were paying $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 just going out and getting all these messages back from these businesses just saying, thank you, this is like a lifesaver for us. Like, we can now pay our rent, or we can pay the leases on our machinery, or top up the staff, or whatever it is. Like, there's all these bills that were just piling up for these businesses. And the cool thing is, since lockdown then went away and we went back into business as usual, many of them are coming back and going, hey, it's really an interesting phenomenon. People are coming in with these vouchers that they bought, but they're actually telling us they're not going to use them. They're kind of tearing them up and just sort of saying, hey, you keep the money. So actually significant amount of the money turned out to be kind of a donation for small business.
What percentage do you think? Like 10, 15%?
No, more than that. So far, we estimate about 40% have been redeemed. So 60% are probably either never going to be redeemed. Maybe that's because people just forgot about them. But more likely, people are telling us it's just because, hey, $20 is not going to kill me, but I know it's really important for these guys to have it. So isn't that generous?
Yeah, it's interesting because there's I don't know if you know much about the corporate hustle culture around vouchers. There's a whole voucher hustle culture where basically they sell millions and millions of dollars of these gift vouchers, knowing that at quite a high percentage never get converted, and they sit on the cash and make all the money off it as well, and then a bunch of it never happens. And the same thing with insurance companies with checks, because they know after a certain amount. That's really interesting. So it's quite cool.
That's why our model was kind of fundamentally sort of weird, because we paid out the venues as soon as we got the money. We didn't wait for it to be redeemed, which is kind of the model that you were referring to. So all the money goes out the door. I had to kind of call my bank and go, oh, I know it looks a bit strange. I've got, tens of thousands of dollars going in and out of my bank account every day, but just trust me, it's nothing dodgy, So this
wait. So you rung up the bank and say, hey, just FYI, I know I'm like publicly known. Please just make it be sure this isn't sketchy.
Exactly. And and then someone said to me, what about that whole anti-money laundering thing? And I was going, yeah, I must Google that.
Jeez. That's like full startup mode, eh?
We reverse engineered a lot of that stuff. We actually did put in an AML thing and all that sort of stuff. But at the beginning, we were just, it was just a side project. So that's why it got bigger and bigger. That's why we ended up having all these volunteers helping. And they were doing things like checking out the vendors and making sure the payment processes were right and all that sort of stuff. So it's been an amazing ride. The problem for me has been, it is a side project, and I went back to my day job.
A multi-million-dollar side project out of your personal bank account.
And we were trying to do it around the edges of, jump out of a meeting and quickly do some customer support calls or whatever it would be. And in this business, SOS business, it's called, because I haven't said that yet. We realized it's going to keep going. Like, it's not going to stop. We thought, okay, it'll just tail off, but actually it's not stopping. It's keeping going. And that's fantastic. No problem with it keeping going. The problem is my time. So,
Well, that's what they fight. I'm sure when don't have much time, but you got $5 million, I'm pretty sure there's ways to delegate and take care of that issue. So talk me through just quickly how do you drop an extra $5 million just drop in the bank? How does that happen?
Well, we were during the lockdown. We got friendly with a couple of organizations around the world who were doing similar sort of things, and one of them in particular was a great company from Texas, actually from Austin, Texas, the cool bit of Texas, called InKind, and they were just giving some advice about how do you do vouchers better, and how do you do the marketing and that sort of stuff. And at the end of it, they said to us, "Look, if you want us to get involved, we'd love to, because we're actually thinking that New Zealand would be a cool market for us to be active in." So we swung a deal with them, where I basically sold them the business, and I say sold because I actually there's no, they paid the lawyers' fees. That was it, basically. Because what we wanted to do is get, it was always a charity, and we said, let's get as much benefit for New Zealand as possible. So the deal we've done is that in return for taking over the business and kind of getting all that value, they're going to invest $5 million into New Zealand small businesses in the next year.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's like leveraging the kind of the big network we've got. And their motto is they work with cafes and restaurants. They give them the cash they need when they need it. So, you might need 10 grand to do up your kitchen. These guys will give you 10 grand, and in return, they'll buy they'll buy credit for you, and they'll sell it on your behalf as vouchers. So it sort of fits really nicely into the voucher model. Yeah.
Mate.
That's awesome.
Really proud of you, buddy. I just love seeing people get the flip and win. Shit, yeah. and it's so good. I get, and as well, when you can pull in some overseas capital that's going to want to try and deploy that more locally as well, just the tentacles that goes out into those worlds, it just opens up more conversations for more different things and networks on the ground. So, and
it's all about the confidence they had. They were looking at New Zealand going, geez, you guys have really handled COVID well. You're bouncing back. The retail numbers are back up again. Businesses are open, and we've got the small lockdown now, but they're going, actually, you're the sort of place we want to be active in. You guys are investing in business and supporting small business. So from my point of view, it's a really win-win, and they bring some really good capability. They do a lot of digital marketing and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm just chuffed that it's going to keep going. I'll be involved a little bit. I'm just kind of staying involved, a bit of a sort of a brand ambassador, or help with the odd question.
Advisory position. Advisory.
Right.
We've got who would have thought, David, it's taken me 35 years. I finally have a structure to show. I've got time codes, and I've got to stick to them. We've got countdown clocks. There's some shit happening. I'm quite proud of myself. It only took 35 years.
Robett? This is crazy.
You don't know what's in the cup though. It's fine. If people want to support it, where can they go? What can they do?
Well, the big
plug
thing
away.
Still,
you deserve the plug.
It's cool, mate. Support small business. SOSbusiness.nz is the website. And right now, New Zealand small businesses still need a lot of help. Particularly in Auckland, they're still in lockdown. They will be for another week or so. And we need to help them. So jump online, buy a voucher, buy the coffee that you really desperately want to have today, and get it next week. Just give them the cash today. SOS Business.
For the win. David Downs.
Oh, man.
Big DD. Love your work, brother. Stay good. Be well. My man, flipping David. Such a G. How cool is that? 2 million rev, drops in another 5, runs it out of his bank account. That's so good. Oh, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, up next, we've got We're going into politics. It's a big world. Plenty of shit happening. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Holly Bennett. You like the claps?
Yeah, I love it. I feel like I can do it all the time. Walk into
You just walk
room.
in. Yep. Holly, we've got. Yep. How are we? Are you doing well? I like your denim jacket. Looking solid.
Thank you.
It's cool.
Thank you.
Politics.
How am I? Or
yes.
What do you want to crank into, mate?
Oh, we've got 5 minutes of power. Usually we take longer. Straight into the flipping show. We've got a little note here. Announced the Monday election will be moved from Saturday the 19th of September to the 17th of October. And that day political campaigning. What does this matter? Why should it matter? Go.
So that is a crucial change that's happened in the political landscape in the past week. And so as we discussed last week, I said to you, we need to know when the election date is going to be for us to know what are the issues that are going to matter for the election. So now that we have a confirmed date, I guess what it means is that it gives people more surety as to what the things that they want to see from their elected representatives. Now, for me, the big thing is, does that mean it's going to change the biggest governing party's position, which is that they are currently saying they're not going to put out large-scale manifesto, and will they? And the reason why this is important, in my view, is because policy is essentially what drives the spending of taxpayers' dollars, which is, government revenue. So if we're not seeing from the biggest governing party in Parliament what they intend to do for the next 3 years with taxpayers' dollars, then how can we be assured that they are the best ones to lead us? Now, those are the questions that I want the voting public to be asking themselves, and that is why it's important.
I agree. Do you know, I've got a quick fact for you, Holly. I was just doing some digging. Do you know that this is also important to note that this is only fourth time in New Zealand history of democracy that we've seen a postponement of general election. The last was in 1941. Did you know that?
Yes, absolutely, I did. Of course I did.
Do you know how I know it? Because you text me that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But so the average Kiwi doesn't know that these things matter. How are they supposed to get more informed to these things that actually do matter? Because I think at the moment it seems there's a battle of, I saw the thing with David Seymour. It's like, kind will only get you so far or whatever, and you need blah, 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 all the rest of it. Do you think the tide's starting to turn of the fact, especially going into level 2 lockdown? I was just on the phone before with a buddy saying that mentally a lot of people aren't doing well, and it's really starting to mess with a bunch of people. And I don't think kindness is going to be the cure if this happens continually along. Do you think the tide's turning on the way people are thinking about approaching this election now?
I mean, if we reverse back to March, I said the exact same thing to you. I said kindness doesn't pay the bills. In a business sense, we know that to be true. And so when you say, has the tide turned, it probably hasn't turned for many people, because they've been looking at this for a long time saying, what is the policy that's driving these decisions? Can we have a look at it? And fundamentally, by not releasing a manifesto or a platform, we're saying that the ideas that we have at the table right now are the best ideas. And I'm not convinced that they are. And I say that because of what I touched on last week, which is some businesses still cannot operate. I'm talking about, hairdressers, beauty therapists, all of those kind of businesses. So I would say I don't think that we have the balance right just yet. To answer your question in terms of how are people going to get more informed, I think that we have to look beyond the leaders, and we really have to be critical with ourselves as to what we're looking for from political parties. Because if you look at it right now, the Green Party, ACT Party and TOP, they have all released election manifestos. That is that they've done the time, that they've put in the time and done the work to put forward what they would like the vision for the country to be. And I think that we should expect that from all people that are asking us for our votes.
AKA Labour?
Every single party. I don't think National has put out a full suite of policies yet. I think that they're slowly putting them out. One yesterday was on border control, and absolutely that's an important issue because we've seen that's been a momentous failure, and that we found that out this week. So all political parties, if you're asking the community to vote, if you're asking people to vote for you, then you should be backing that up with policy.
5 minutes of fire there, Holly. Clip this up. Do it with your wish. No, but what I will say is people, from the comments and stuff I'm seeing, a lot more people are taking a lot more attention to what politicians are saying because how it's directly affecting their lives in the real world at this very second, and I think that's important. Holly, HSB Consulting, now the website, hsbconsulting.net.
Have we not remembered this from last week?
.nz. I'm just kidding. It's not .net. Got it. Thanks so much. And I'm slowly starting to enjoy politics. Slowly, it's getting me. It's getting me. You know, you're chipping away at me each week. Yep. I'm excited for next week. See what happens and see what the public sentiment shall be. Would you like claps to leave? I'll give you claps.
Why not?
Kill you Friday. Have fun. Love your work, Holly.
See you, bro.
There we go. Politics is coming at it. Happy with that. See, look, we've got format. This shit's happening. I don't know if I'm missing. I'm kind of pissed because I'm not getting to talk ages with my friends, but at the same time, we've got a show. We're trying to stick to it, keep the shit rolling. All right, 1 minute pitch. We didn't talk about. I put a little thing out. I said, okay, I think it would be a good idea to get different New Zealand businesses to be able to have a say, jump in, have a banter, flip and get in the mix and let other people know what products or services or whatever it is. So we've ran a little thing. People popped up. I hope you're ready. You're about to jump in. Whoever this may be, you're going live in 3, 2, 1, go. How are you, mate? Well, before you get into it, I'll just say, what's your name and what company do you work for? And then I'll give you your minute.
Thanks, bro. My name's Ben Van Tongeren, and I work for Blink.
Blink, okay. Ready to go?
I'm ready.
Go.
All right. So, I'm the country manager for Blink in Aotearoa. We're a young SaaS mobile-focused app with massive focus on people. In particular, the 2 billion kaimahi globally on the front line. So the people who drive our buses, clean our buildings, prepare our kai, care for our elderly and sick, work in our warehouses, the people who keep the wheels in our society and our hapori whanui turning every day. We make their lives easier. We bring that sense of community and aroha in the good times and the bad times. We protect them, connect them with their people in a way that's really simple and enjoyable. It's built for all ages, all stages. People who don't have work laptops or company emails, but they've got that phone in their pocket. They used to be neglected and out of that loop, but suddenly they're part of that conversation and more a part of their work whānau. And we're here in Aotearoa now. We want to help companies engage and communicate with their people in a way that wasn't achievable. And my job's to make that happen and support our Blink whānau and NZ and building the front line of the future.
Boom. Just like that. Let's turn the alarm off. This shit's annoying. Get out of there. That was awesome, mate. I like that.
Thanks, man.
Employee app.
Yeah, employee app. Yep.
Peter's giving you some props. Te reo, my man. Like it. The website, if you want to check out for Ben and Blink, the employee app, you're getting a bit of props there for the chat. Joinblink.com. Joinblink.com. Love your work, brother. Enjoy the rest of the day. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you in a bit.
Thanks, man. Nami.
That was cool. Shit, yeah. I like that. Let's do that again. I think we will. Man, we're just going back to back to back to backs. All right. I'm going to give some special funky music. All right. Ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you we're talking tech. We're talking tech week. We're talking with the man behind Few Quiet Yarns. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Ashton. How are you, brother? Oh, there's no audio. Where's your audio? Wait, unmute mic. You go. Oh, you muted yourself.
I thought you had me muted for good reason.
You muted yourself. How are you, brother?
Very good, thank you. And yourself?
Okay. Let's talk Tech Week. You are the man behind it. Behind a week of interviews with all sorts of awesomeness and amazingness from technology. Clearly, it wasn't a full in-person, everything going everywhere. Give me the experience of Tech Week, and then we'll get into what was being discussed.
Yeah, cool. So I was the presenter for Tech Week TV. So there were a whole range of episodes that I was a presenter for, interviewing people. But alongside that, there were a whole lot of events that had to be digital. So they had to be digital first, as in streamed. and they could also be in person and hybrid. So there was a huge amount going on, as there is every year. I think this was the 9th year for Tech Week. So it was quite, it was quite on the go. Like I've got, this won't look very tech, but these are my brief notes, and every half hour I got another set of those put in my hand. Had to learn.
Hey, at least you get notes.
Yeah,
I just freestyle it. You're good.
well, look, some of them were freestyled, and they were quite good fun, especially the last session that was totally freestyled. But we also had some sessions where the people, the interviewees, their notes were written by lawyers and signed off by 20 people, and they had to say what was on here.
That sounds super draining.
Yeah, it was for them well, but sometimes that's just how it is. So, of course, that's all under review for next year. So we're looking at making it a little more funky.
Right. What was the biggest learning through all the time presenting at Tech Week? Biggest thing?
Yeah, I think there's probably a whole string together of things would be what I'd say. Because it'd be hard to pick one thing over another, but there were some pretty full-on AI ethics discussions with the likes of Ancheli from Hudson Gavin Martin, who just nailed the information. I was sitting there taking that in. But probably process mining was a big thing, which links to digital twins. So digital twins most commonly are thought of as 3D models of a building, sort of like Sim City or some sort of game, especially when you first play a shooter and you're sort of moving through the game. But 3 digital cities also have the data. So process mining is you imagine all the data in a building, emails flying here, the transactions going here, interactions. Process mining is mining that data, every part of it, from the email to the computer logs, etc. So you imagine something like the Matrix and the data trickling through, it builds up a digital twin of your business, and you can then just go in and analyze it and go, well, that ain't working, that's working really well, let's so it's sort of like the we've talked about big data and data analysis for years, but this is kind of putting the rubber on the road. So it was pretty exciting stuff to hear about.
One of the things I wanted to quickly jump in is, where was tech in the budget in a year where 2020 goes all digital? There's a mass exodus happening from California, expanding in many ways. People are driving down more on tech, and I think tech's our second or third year big export now. What was the feedback from the players in the tech landscape thinking about the with where the government's standing on its view on doubling into tech investment?
Yeah, so that was that's my favourite pet subject, and I've been attacking it ever since the budget. In fact, I wish I was on with Holly because I've got a couple of questions for her. But this was the first time I ever watched the government budget, and I'm 43, so it gives you an idea of how political I am. But I was just sitting there going, well, where's the tech? Where's the tech? Where's the tech? And then when I realised $4 billion shovel-ready projects, including the training, and that just goes in the ground. So once the concrete's in the ground, a truck can drive over it, which means people can do business over it, but essentially that money's in the ground and forgotten, whereas tech, as you know, you invest it, it just keeps on producing return. So if you train people to be developers, they're continually earning money or creating product. And, with everybody under lockdown, you can't actually go out with shovels. So if we were under lockdown forever, the thought of them getting into training so they could develop code, we could create a massive tech factory here in New Zealand, especially all the returning overseas people, which bring back massive scale experience. New Zealand's a small country. There'll be people that are coming back. So there's a guy in Queenstown, John Sockdale, who was on the session that I created around this subject, and he was responsible for the largest scaling of Facebook. So you imagine what he could teach our rangatahi about coding and scaling and everything. But where was that? So hopefully when the new government gets in, if it's the same government or a different government, they have a real big focus on tech, because we know it, everyone in tech knows that's where the focus should be. So bring it back. Well,
it's also the point too, if you think about like Microsoft with their data center and a few other bits and pieces that are sort of bubbling around the show. If global companies are not disbanding but dispersing out of these sort of little mini hubs, where are other spots they can go to? And if we own our data and it's safe and protected, and we've got a nice brand for the country of New Zealand, and if we can keep the health thing, it definitely makes a no-brainer. Before we go, next few quiet yarns. When is it? What's when's the next date? Feel free to plug it away. Go for it.
Cool. Well, just before I do, the one thing I was going to say is that adding on the price tag. You work with New Zealand from overseas. Add to the price tag, you can have a holiday here. So you imagine that they're in lockdown or in a scary situation over there. Part of working with New Zealanders, we can whack on a holiday in New Zealand as part of the payment. So makes it pretty enticing. AFQY, we were about to set to launch into the first Tauranga AFQY, but of course everything's up in the air with lockdown, and me being in Auckland, I can't travel. So just planning what will probably become the first AFQY debate, something I wanted to do for probably 8 years. And
Nice.
we're going to get stuck into a subject. Might come knocking. He might be a good cage rattler,
Mate, I'll be a nightmare. Just unless you give me a bottle of whiskey, give me an hour first, and I'll jump in. But I think I had an interview with Andrew Patterson the other day, and it's like, mate, you don't want me anywhere near any type of anything where I need to be responsible for something. Let's just keep me away from that. But appreciate your time, brother. Love your work. And Ryan Ashton, Few Quiet Yarns, and presenter of New Zealand Tech Week. Appreciate the insights, buddy.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you some claps.
What about a roar?
Thank you. I've got no. Send me a lion sound, and I'll chuck it in for next time.
Cheers, brother.
Love your work, brother. All right, see you soon.
See you.
Cool. Mate, we're just flipping knocking shit out today. Jingle bells. It feels rushed, but I'll get some feedback, see if people are into it or not. Okay, last but not least, good friend. What should I give you to start with? Maybe I'll get to get some more music, to be fair. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassie, Roma. How are we? Not going to get sued for this one.
How are you?
Happy with this. What matters most to you this week, Cassie, Roma?
Did you actually want me to answer that?
Kinda. Well, I think you've got your finger on the pulse. You're talking to people are talking to you. What's last week? What's the most important thing that you've seen bubbling around in the world of business, media, or anything?
I think the thing from a client business, content, media, distribution, just tidal wave of reckons that I've been working with clients with this week is distilling down the idea of matching the moment that we're in. So it feels like we're running, we're sprinting. We never take a minute to stop. We had our pandemic time to stop, but we talked about this last week too, Robett, where nobody stops to actually not even just reinvent, but to take stock of what's going on. So it's, for me right now in the last week, it's been talking with folks to go, okay, so how do we match the moment? So regardless of what you're selling, what your brand stands for, how engaged your teams are, what is the moment that we're in right now, and where's the value exchange from a business perspective? And a lot of the time that comes through with content, right? That comes through with what you put out into the world.
Do you think it's, during this lockdown stuff, we saw a lot of businesses make bad kind of judgment calls that we talked about last time, that they couldn't read the room right. Do you think this is more validating, like when you're talking about these moments of actually like reading the room to the actual moment for your business at the actual moment? Is that kind of
correct
the thinking?
And that should be business strategy at all times, not just in a pandemic year, right? It's understanding the value piece, right?
No, it's not, because we've booked out Q4 TVC World and our radio ad spots. Nothing is supposed to change between now and then.
Q4 for like 2022. Still boggles my brain that we do that shit. It's like, oh God, we bought the space. Let's fill it with something. That is a whole other podcast or live stream for me and you. Matching the moment we're in is sometimes going, we've booked Q4. Maybe we just leave it. Yeah.
I really like that. Matching the moment. What's the sentiment to the moment, but no one's really branding it. People are talking about, we've talked about being tone deaf, if they're not reading the room. We've talked about timing, but matching the moment. I think it's got a lot more care to the approach, right?
It is about not just doing your due diligence culturally, but also the duty of care for the humans on the other side. And I talk about this a lot, that business has been super transactional. And it's just a transaction at all points, but the duty of care to care for the people who are going to be having that value exchange with you is so much more important now than it has ever been. And if you can't communicate and put things out into the world that show you care and that mean you really care, then you're living in an old world. If all you're worried about is your TVC or what you're going to sell or how you're going to retarget somebody, and you're not actually worried about hearts and minds, you're in trouble.
Yeah, no, I totally get. I like that. Matching the moment. You should do a LinkedIn article about it for brands, from a brand's perspective.
Well, that's a good idea. Might be one coming.
Yeah, share. No, because I think brands, they get the backlash when shit doesn't pop because they've been naive to the approach of it actually being wrong from the get-go. If they reframe the chat of matching the moment, then it starts to change the creative lens with how they approach it. And I think that's actually going to be a better thing for brands than the end consumer, right?
100%. And it'll be a better thing too for creative agencies and creative shops as well, because there will be a much more concerted effort to create something that doesn't have an end goal of winning an industry award, but of, again, winning the hearts and minds of humanity. I'm
excited to read this article, Cassie. Do you think, just quick feedback, do you think the show's too short at the half hour to smack it through? We extend it a little.
I don't know. I'd extend it. I've listened to all of the speakers this morning. That they've been good, and I just want a little bit more.
I know, right? Flipping time codes and shit.
Little bites.
All right, we tweak and pivot. We learn. We pivot. We take the data.
We tweak and pivot. There's my quote for the day.
We tweak and pivot. I'm just going to match the moment. Love your work, Cassie. Have you gone for your run yet, or are you about to go for your run?
I went for a short run yesterday and ended up doing a half marathon, so I'm going to rest my body today.
Ugh, gross. You and your fitness. Get out of here.
I know. I know.
Half a marathon on a flipping Thursday. Jeez.
She just kept going, Robett.
I get it. Love your work. Be good, and I'll see you next week. Adios. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll give you some claps. Very cool, team. Feedback. Is the show too short? Is it too long? What can we add to it? I like the 1 minute pitch. I think that's very, very cool. A little gets that we're dropping in and out. Maybe we extend it just a bit, but we shall see. What else is bubbling away? Have I got, is there music bubbling? Oh, there we go. Actually, I'll get rid of that one. I'll do this one. It's all right. All right. That's us for the day, for this week's show, Robett Live. The thing I was probably thinking about is the perspective on, not to lose your perspective for Kiwis. Like, I know round 2 is a bit tough. I know that a lot of people's headspace is getting pretty messed up right now. I'm currently in California, and it's been on lockdown since March. So I definitely feel your pain. I know exactly how that feels, and it sucks. Don't be naive to the fact that this is not just going to disappear overnight, and a lot of data is saying that this is going to be around for a while in these many forms. So mentally, I think people need to be able to prepare and take the longer perspective of cracking it for round number 1 isn't all it, and this could come back and back and back and back and back and over and over and over. So maybe mentally gear up and reset for just the headspace to realize that this could last for a bit longer, to try and keep positive and keep good, but also be a bit realistic and don't drink the Kool-Aid thinking that just because it was at 0, it's never going to be back again, because the effect it's having on people and friendships and business and all sorts is pretty extreme right now. And so that is that. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Be safe, be good, and until the next time, adios. This episode brought to you by brightfire.co.nz. If you're a Kiwi passionate about business, check it out. Bunch of cool stuff there. And also switch.stream. If you're a business wants to do live streaming for your business, just like this, switch.stream. Have a good day, team. Adios. Peace.